everybody, what's up? Welcome to episode 417 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. And this week especially if you play Arena.
Yeah, I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's show, Megan teased it there, we are talking to a very special guest, Tyler, about playing for free on Magic Arena.
That's right. He's going to tell us all about going infinite by just getting the very basics when you start out.
Yeah, you can start from nothing and you can do this.
Yeah, which is wild.
Almost unbelievable. And even if you're somebody who's like, I'm not interested in playing for free or going infinite, I'll spend some money on Arena every month. This is still a worthwhile listen for you because you will learn tips and tricks that you had no idea existed that will just give you a little bit better return on your investment or help you out a little bit here or there so you're spending less money overall.
It is pretty stinking cool.
Yeah, really, really, really interesting discussion. So stay tuned for that coming up. And by the way, I'm just happy that we're able to bring you different guests because next week is going to be Judge Rob coming on.
Yes.
To talk about call time.
Yeah.
Pre-release primer.
And everyone loves our Judge Rob episode because you're going to find out everything that you need to know about all of the mechanics and all of the individual, maybe complicated cards.
Absolutely.
And all of the rules details you need to confidently stride into your call time pre-release.
I'm going to be strutting into that pre-release.
Yeah, you
and by
are.
that pre-release, I mean sitting at my computer.
Into your office to sit at your desk.
I will strut. Strut, strut, strut. Here I come. Pre-release action. I'm so excited for call time.
Same.
These cards are great.
And all of this is made possible by our patrons.
Yes.
Thank you so much to every single patron of this show, past, present, and future, just like the ghosts that visited Scrooge.
Yeah, we know if you're going to be a patron one day, and we thank you in advance.
We thank you in advance, and especially some thanks to a couple of new patrons in the past week. Thank you so much to Trevor, to Rowan, and to Heather.
Yay!
Thank you all so very much, as well as to Victor, who upped their pledge.
Yay, that's so amazing. Thank you so much, all of our new members, people who are increasing their pledge, people who remain, people who are supporting us on Patreon.
It means so very much to us.
Absolutely.
And we thank you from the very bottoms of our hearts.
Yeah, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Take you just about 2 minutes. Bing, bang, boom, you're a supporter. You can do it for any dollar amount. That means $1 a month gets you access to becoming a patron. $5 a month is our squirrel level, which is I don't know what per episode, 25 cents, something like that.
Wait, $1 per episode. $1.25.
$1.25. You get access to our Discord community, other benefits. It's a really cool place to be.
What a deal.
What a deal. Nothing costs that little anymore.
No.
You can't get a kick in the face for that price.
Peppermint Patty does.
Is this the second time we've talked about York Peppermint Patties on this show?
Very likely because I like them a lot.
You're thinking about them all the time. Is that it?
Not all the time, but if I'm going to go into, you're on a road trip and you stop for gas and you hop in to get a candy or a snack.
Yeah.
It's my go-to. Absolutely.
York Peppermint Patty plus what?
Ooh, okay. It depends.
This is a very important question.
It is a very important question.
Obviously.
Okay, love me a York Peppermint Patty.
Yeah.
I also love when they have those cheap, sugary little coffee machines that make you a tiny hot vanilla cappuccino or whatever.
That's a good combo.
It's a nice little combo in the winter.
York Peppermint Patty, tiny little sugary coffee.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I'm going full on salt,
Yeah.
Give me them corn nuts. Give me them cheddar cheese combos.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Give me some bugles.
Ooh.
Okay, maybe I'll buy one of their little bags of mini donuts.
Oh, yeah. Mini donuts are pretty good, too.
Just those just probably made of plastic, but they're delight.
I'm like a sugar, and you're like a salt.
Yeah, that's why we were good on this podcast. That's all it takes, everybody. Ooh, let's break it down. Aggressive players like salty snacks.
Oh.
Control players like sweet.
I do think Maria, we have had specifically an aggro and control snack discussion before.
Have we really?
I swear that we have.
It seems like something we would have
I'm
done.
pretty sure. Anyways,
Patreon.
this show is also made possible by our wonderful sponsor, Card Kingdom. CardKingdom.com/GLHF, an excellent place to go to get all of that sick call time action.
Absolutely. You can pre-order all of your call time stuff over at cardkingdom.com/GLHF right now. And they'll ship it out to you so fast, you'll blink and boom, it'll be arriving on your doorstep.
That's right.
Just like that.
Wow.
Great people over at Card Kingdom. Check them out. Say good luck high five. They'll give you a sticker or a token in your order for free, which is even cheaper than $1.25 an episode.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yeah. Like, how about that?
Think about it. All right, everybody. We have a very special guest who's joining us this week on Good Luck High Five.
That's right. Everyone, please welcome Tyler. What's up?
Hello. Thank you for the welcome. I am just so pleased to be on this program. I am a huge fan, and I am a huge fan of the program and a huge fan of you both. So it's like triple the fun for me, really.
Ooh, so if you're a huge fan, you'll know this trivia question. Just kidding.
All right, great.
Test.
Wow.
You must pass this test. Who is the third unofficial host of Good Luck High Five?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
Oh, that's fair.
Well, okay, so we've debunked what you've said earlier.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I've already been proven a liar, so I'm not sure how the rest of this is going to go.
I guess Maria brought you on the show just to roast you?
I mean, fair. It's fair. Like, I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever.
The answer, of course, is Ghost Host, which I'm sure our true fans will know.
That's fair.
Just kidding.
I will admit I'm a for the last year fan, and I'm a fan of you both for longer than that, but the program itself probably for the last year.
Every time you call us a program, I feel so fancy.
Yeah, we're very fancy. We're a program.
I feel like, I feel like we're in like a news studio.
Oh yes, we are. I mean, we kind of are.
We actually are, but as I said it, I was like, well, we are in a studio.
Yeah. And you could be a news studio if you wanted it to, right?
Yeah,
true. We could we do the upkeep
we do
here.
A news show.
Okay, we've all
perfect.
This interview has already gone off the rails, but it's okay.
Yes,
because we know Tyler in real life, IRL, and he graciously offered to come on our show to talk to us about going infinite or being free to play on Magic Arena, which I know is something like a lot of people have a goal of. It's like the ultimate shining star on the top of the hill, like being able to play for free. So. First question. Let's start this thing off. Tyler, tell us a little bit about your journey being able to play free on Arena. Like, who should do this? Like, because it's not a journey for everybody.
What kind of player are you? Like, what do you enjoy playing the most? How long have you been playing? All that good jazz.
Well, thank you for asking. I am, so I definitely prefer limited, and I think that's something that is helpful if you want to go free to play on Arena, just because I think that is the best route that they give you to invest your gems and gold into the game and get a collection out of it. I think I am someone who's been playing for about the last year, so I think this is definitely applicable to people who don't feel like they've been playing Arena for a long time, or weren't there since the beta, and maybe feel like they're somehow behind or somehow need to catch up or feel overwhelmed by how do I start a collection, how do I maintain a collection on Arena.
Sure.
I can say that I started playing when Eldraine came out, and I have a full play set of rares from every standard set since Eldraine, including Eldraine.
Wow.
And I have gold and gems in my little digital bank, and I have about 130 rare wild cards and about 97 mythic wild cards. So I have the ability to sort of build whatever I want, and as I said, I started playing a year ago, and so it's definitely doable to enter into Arena, even if you feel like you're behind, and build a collection. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great
Very
point.
cool.
Because I think this is one of the things that I see the most posted about new players on Reddit is how do I make a collection on Arena? I feel so behind the ball. And something else really shocking, at least to me, about your investment in the game. Tyler, how much money have you put into Arena since you started playing?
I bought sort of those welcome things that they give you. So the $5 kind of very super welcome bundle, and then the $15, I don't know what they called it at that point, but the other thing that they offer you as a one-time purchase. So I bought those two. I haven't bought that second $15 thing after they updated it whenever they did this year, or this past year, I guess, now that we're in 2021. That's all I invested. So I invested about $20 into the game, and I haven't.
That's just a really amazing accomplishment in your first year playing as well. Like, I have to say that I think you're an extremely good limited player. So if you are at home, like, do you think people who are not as good as you at limited should still try and do this?
I definitely think there's different strategies depending on how good you are, and I think there's that's something that we can talk about now, or we can talk about later. Sure. I think there's different. So there's sort of three different types. Not sort of. There are three different types of draft that you can do on Arena. There's two drafts where you're playing against or you're drafting against other real players, and there's quick draft, which is when you're drafting against bots. And the investment is half. It's half the price to do a quick draft that it is to do the other two types of drafts. So I think one thing that you really want to establish, if this is a route that you want to go down, is what your win rate is, especially in draft. And there are different trackers that you can use to establish that for yourself. I'm personally really partial to one called 17 Lands. And you can search just 17lands.com and find that. And I think especially for limited, it's really, really an excellent tracker, and it'll give you a lot of data. It'll track all your drafts. You can go back and look at the picks that you made and look at those. You can have other people look at them for you. It's really easy to link to other people. And it also keeps track of your win rate for you across all the different formats. So, it'll tell you, in Kaladesh Remastered, this is what your win rate was. In Zendikar Rising, this is what your win rate was. And if you start to establish that baseline for yourself, then you can say, okay, let's say you are around 55%. What is the best route to go if you're around 55%? If you're less than 50%, what's the best route to go? If you're 50% or less, quick draft is definitely the best route to go. It's something where you can really, you're almost guaranteed to get a better return in quick draft if you're just rare drafting, which is to say you're basically taking every rare you see, than you do from packs. And so that's sort of like the baseline route that I would tell people to go if they're, feeling like they're maybe not the strongest limited player, or they might need more experience with limited before they want to jump into the deep end of the pool with the more expensive draft types.
Wow. Okay. So this is already like really scientific, which is pretty cool. And I'm definitely going to get one of these trackers because I haven't been doing that.
No.
And that seems like super interesting to know how well I'm doing and keep track of it for just not only for just being interesting, but to help me make better decisions about what I'm doing in the future with my gameplay. But let's go. Can we start going wider, big picture?
Yeah, please.
Like if your goal is to play for free on Arena or to collect an entire set like you've been able to do, what do you need to do?
Great question.
And then we can break it down.
Great question. So like I said at the start, I think drafting is the route that I would focus people on as far as, especially when a set comes out. That's a place that I always... Again, I know that some people just aren't that into draft, and I think that that's something that you have to evaluate in terms of this method if this is something that you want to try. But I think that if you have any interest in draft at all, if you start out the set drafting and you save the packs that you get through the free, the packs that they give you through the mastery track, whether you buy the mastery pass or not, those free packs that you get, you can start out drafting and choosing every rare that you see, or you can find different balances. Some people choose just literally every rare that they see, and they're not that worried about what the deck that they finally get is, and they might just have this sort of pile of random cards, a lot of rares that they try to throw together, and maybe they win a match or two, or maybe they don't, and they're not so worried about that because really their end goal is just to get as many rares as they can from drafting and to collect all those rares as quickly as they can, because their end goal is to just get a collection so that they can play some kind of constructed format. And
people do that?
They do, yeah, absolutely. And it's honestly a great strategy if even if that's all that you're looking to do. The reason being that Wizards has put duplicate protection into the packs that you open, which means that if you open a pack of any set, if you already have 4 of a certain rare, it won't give you another one of those rares until you collect all of the rares in the set. And so how this works with draft is the packs that you open in draft are not duplicate protected, which is why you want to start with the draft first, because you want to accumulate, let's say, half the rares in the set through draft. And then if you open the rest of your packs, you're going to get all of the rest of the rares because those rares are duplicate protected when you're opening those packs. So
Whoa! I did not know that there was people out there tanking their own drafts just to get rares for their collection.
Yeah,
it explains a lot.
My mind.
Yeah, it's the math is available online if for anyone to go look for, but it is actually true that you can get a better rate as far as like gems or gold per rare through using draft than you can through the packs. Again, you have to look at what your win rates are and all of that stuff. And one downside of this route is that you do get fewer wild cards because you're opening fewer packs to get a set, completed. If you want to just buy all your packs via gems or gold directly from the store, you're going to open more packs and therefore get those free wild cards that they give you in those wild card, the little dial that starts ticking up as you open packs. So you're going to open fewer packs because a lot of the rares you're getting are going to be through draft and therefore won't count towards those dials. So that's one of the downsides of this method.
So you're telling me though that like in this scheme, I should draft a bunch and like accumulate packs in my little pack section of my account and then wait and then open my packs?
That's exactly right. And again, I can definitely say for myself.
How? What kind of restraint do you have?
What did you say, Maria?
What kind of restraint you must have? I can barely sit there while my Kaldheim packs that I paid, $25, $50 for are just sitting in there.
And that's another thing that you have to evaluate about yourself. I am someone who has always loved delayed gratification. So this actually plays right into what I even want to be doing. I love that feeling of sort of saying, okay, I'm not going to get this right away, but because I'm waiting, I'm getting a better return on my investment. It's similar to, those little kids that they asked about whether
the
they wanted
M&Ms or whatever.
Well, I'm talking about the experiment they ran on little children about whether they wanted 1 marshmallow or 2 marshmallows.
Yes.
It's like that.
Although, did you know that apparently that more effectively tested whether or not that child trusted adults?
That makes sense to me. I have actually heard that.
Literally, they realized, they were like, wait a second, all I'm testing is whether or not this kid trusts this adult to give them 2 marshmallows.
Will they give me 2 marshmallows?
That makes sense. And that's a deeper psychological kind of thing that we maybe don't want to get into right now. But
not related to this.
Either way.
I want that 1 marshmallow, basically is what I
Do
want.
you know what is funny? I was like not intentionally doing this, but just because I hate individually clicking on packs. And so I would just wait until I had 10, because then you can click the one where it just opens 10 at a time.
It's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So in a way, you'd started to move in that direction, even if it was for a completely different
just
reason.
by being lazy and not wanting to click on individual packs.
Yeah. This clicking.
Yeah, exactly.
So Tyler, tell me a little bit about more like when you should open this bounty that you've created for yourself.
So this is again going to depend on exactly what you're trying to do. Some people might say, I just want to get a certain amount towards having enough, feeling like I have enough rares and enough of a collection of this one set to start building a deck. Or you might be like me, going for a complete play set of the rares. And so it depends on exactly what you're going for as to what you might choose to do. But if you're looking for a complete play set, there is a formula. Again, this may not be the most functional thing to get into on a podcast, given that I can't sort of like I don't have like a whiteboard behind me that I could go into. But there is an equation. A shorthand that you can use is for most sets, assuming that it's not one of the remastered sets and has a lot more rares or a lot more mythics than a normal set does. Most sets, it's going to be around 250 packs plus rares. So if you had, let's say, 110 rares that you'd accumulated through draft, then you would need about 140 packs to have accumulated to equal those two things out. So depending on, for Zendikar, the Mastery track gave you a lot more packs just because there was a longer time period between when Zendikar came out and when Kaldheim came out. So it depends a little bit on that as well as to how many drafts you might need to do. And also, again, you're going to, there's even more delayed gratification involved if you want to wait until you finish your mastery track to open all your packs, because obviously that's something that you're going to have to wait a certain amount of time for regardless, because there's only so much experience you can earn in any given week.
Wow. Okay. So this is all making sense as far as accruing a collection that you can use to play historic or standard or whatever you might be interested in. So my question is how does this translate to being able to play draft or sealed or other events for free?
Yeah. So like I mentioned a little, or, sort of got into earlier, it's going to be about what your win rate is the best way to think about which type of draft might be best for you. And again, there's lots of math involved in this. There are spreadsheets and things online that you can search for that will give you.
Shocking that Magic players went into.
I know,
this.
shocking, truly. But people have made spreadsheets that you can plug in how many of each rare you've collected and how many packs you've accumulated, and it'll give you a rough number of drafts that you have left over until you might complete the set. Again, it's basing this off of some kind of algorithm, so it's not going to be completely accurate, but it'll give you a baseline for how many drafts you might need to do based on what you have right now. But as I said earlier, if you're 50% or lower, then Quick Draft is definitely the place to start. It's the rewards are way flatter, so there isn't so much of a difference in reward between getting to 7 wins or losing all three, just losing 3 matches or 3 games right away and going 0-3. There's not nearly so much of a difference as there are in the other two human draft options where you're investing a lot more up front, but the rewards at the top end, especially in traditional draft, are much higher. So that's where I would recommend people, if they're starting out with this strategy or just aren't sure how good they are at draft, that's the place to start for sure. And then Premier Draft, the sort of ranked draft, the other best of one option that's with humans, I really don't recommend that for this method at all. The only time that it might make sense is if you're in bronze or silver and maybe to some degree in gold. But the reason that it's not as good for this method, especially as you get better at draft, is that it eventually, as you play in ranked, you're going to be headed towards a 50% win rate because of the way their ranking system works. So you're gonna head towards players that are better and better as you get better and better. And so eventually, the very best players, the people that have been playing their whole lives or the pros, they might be able to maintain a 60+% win rate in that situation. But for most people, you're going to hit a place where you're now sitting at 50% or less, and that's just less efficient for this method. So the place that I would say, the 2 methods that I would recommend is either Quick Draft if you're 50% or lower, or traditional draft, which is the best of 3 variants, if you feel like you're a little bit better at draft. The reason being that method only looks at what the win rate of your deck, or not win rate, but the rank. What am I trying to say? The record of your deck that you have drafted in this particular draft. So if you've lost one game, you'll be matched against other people who have lost one game. If you've won one game,
regardless of their level or whatever.
Exactly. So it doesn't take rank into account, which is a huge advantage if you feel like you're good at draft, because you're not going to hit that diminishing returns of headed towards 50%. And in addition to that, if you can regularly win 3. If you can win 3 matches in those best of 3 drafts, the return is double what you put in. So you basically earn a whole nother draft for free. So that really has the best return for people that feel like they're at 55%. It's maybe almost a wash between quick draft and that. But as you approach 60% and get above that, then it's a pretty clear choice to head in that direction, assuming you have the time to put in for best of 3, obviously, because it's takes longer to play the matches than best of 1 does.
So Tyler, the big question is, what is your win rate?
Good question. So
Wow.
I'm happy to share that. Since I started playing, I'm about 62%. in draft. And in the last 3 standard sets, I'm about 67% over the last 3.
Jeez.
Those are numbers that when we read them out, like on coverage or whatever, we're like 67% win rate. We're like, that's excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
I will say that is in using these methods. I have played some best of 1 and, tried to rank up and all that stuff too. But for the most part, I do play best of 3. So I will say best of 3 arena. The true limited heads out there, whatever you want to call people who are obsessed with limited. I don't know if that's the best. We'll workshop that a little bit.
That named, we got to workshop that.
Limited heads.
I don't know what to call them.
but
not quite there.
I think most people would agree that if you really want to get better at limited and you want to play against the best, that MTGO Magic Online is still the best place to do that, just because the player pool is so large in arena. So that is a win rate in arena. So I just want to say that's part of why it is maybe higher than it would be in another situation.
You're just trying to be modest. You're a Minnesotan.
That is true.
That's true.
Is true.
You have to say
it's
that.
a requirement.
It's a contract. We literally have to sign it when we live in Minnesota. So just to finish out this limited discussion, we've talked about all sorts of draft, but Call Time's coming out in just a couple of weeks here, and it'll be sealed for the pre-release.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How does sealed stack up here?
So sealed is really not better than quick draft, even if your win rate is really low. It looks like it could be just on its face because obviously you get those 6 packs right away. So it is similar to quick draft in that even if you have a poor win rate, the rewards are a little flatter, and you're just more likely to get, if you lose all 3 games, let's say right away, you're more likely to get a better return on your investment than you are with either of the human draft scenarios, because you do get those. I think I don't have it in front of me, but I think you might even get an extra pack right away from the 1 loss. I'm not sure. I think you definitely get the 6 packs. I'm not sure exactly what the rewards are on sealed off the top of my head, but I know that even if you lose all the games, you're still getting obviously a pretty solid return on investment. It's not that much worse than just buying those packs with gold or gems out of the store. So that I would say it's comparable to quick draft, but it's usually better to just quick draft than it is to play sealed. Obviously, if you enjoy sealed, then that's a whole nother part of the equation. But for the most part, I would say the one flip side to that I'll say is that in the past, and maybe they'll change this with Call Time, but they have delayed when quick draft has been available in the past. So if you're looking to just jump in and you do feel like you're not great at limited, or you might, again, just need more practice with it, sealed is not a terrible place to start, just because it is better. It's better than the human drafting is for that sort of fear of like, oh man, what happens if I owe 3, and I've put this much gold or this much gems in. You're more guaranteed to get at least a certain amount for your investment than you are with those other 2 methods for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like my brain has expanded 3 sizes today.
Yeah, you're the Grinch of Magic Arena.
I'm the Magic Arena Grinch.
Yep.
Boop, 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 boop. This is like just fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
That everybody has been able to figure this out and to game it. I mean, like, obviously.
I didn't even know that it went this deep, but like it's Magic and it's Magic players.
Gamers gonna game.
Of course it goes this deep at the end of the day. Shouldn't be surprised.
And Megan, we're gonna go. It's deeper still, because this is the question that I also have from hearing people who do this, because I've people post about their journey about doing this, and a lot of times they'll talk about playing on alternate accounts.
An alternate account?
An alternate account? Yeah.
Tell me more.
So, Tyler, what's the deal with alternate accounts? Should you do it? If you do it, why? And like, how does it help?
Yeah. So the big advantage of an alternate, there's a couple different ways to think about it. One way is if you're really not worried about building a collection at all, or having a cohesive collection on one account, then you can have multiple accounts where you're sort of just doing the quests as you are able to, and it's easier to accumulate gold on each individual account because the daily quests are definitely the best return on your investment for gold. Once you get past that, they do give you some for wins, but once you get past the 4 wins a day, it's really heavily diminishing returns as far as how much gold you get back for winning a game or playing any more than those first 4 wins and the daily quests.
Yeah.
So that's the big advantage of having alternate accounts or an alternate account, is that you have the ability to do more of those daily quests again, assuming that you have the time to do that, and you can accumulate gold. And as I said, if you're not interested in building a collection on one account, then you can just draft. If all you're interested in doing is draft or sealed or cube, any of these sort of event type things, then those things it's way easier to go free to play in that sense, because you're getting to double dip on the daily deals, you're getting to double dip on, quest rewards, all of those things. And so if all you're worried about doing is playing in events, then that's a great strategy. In addition, even if you do want to build a collection on one account, what I do is I just have one alternate account, and I do the daily quests on that as I'm able to. And when I have an event like Cube or any of the Cube drafts that have been on Arena recently, they're phantom drafts, which is to say that you don't get to keep the cards that you draft in them. And so they're obviously not helping you build a collection in any way. It's just a matter of getting to play this fun event. And, if you're really good at it, maybe you can accumulate gold by playing and winning in that. But it's not nearly as much of a incentive to try to game the system if it were in those events, because you're not building a collection. So you can go onto your alternate account and play those events to your heart's content with the gold that you've accumulated there, and it's not taking away from your resources on your primary account.
So it's your little trash hoard account.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're like, I'm going to play these trashy events that are just phantom, and I don't actually get any value except for the fun I'm having. I'm going to go over to my dark account on the dark web. Just kidding. I don't know.
It's like when you're leaving the house and you're like, where are you going? And you're like, nowhere. Nowhere.
Exactly.
I'm not going to do anything interesting.
Yeah. So that's okay. That's how I have to frame it in my head, Tyler, is to call it my trash account.
That's totally fine. Whatever helps you, Maria, is fine by me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
But you touched a little bit on quests.
Yeah.
So I want to hear more about what's your approach to daily quests and all of that sort of stuff.
Ooh, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Because I heard this way back in the day when Arena started, that no matter what, just making sure it's true, you should reset your quests to try and hit them all at 750.
So I do think that's definitely a strategy that's worth pursuing. I will say my biggest thing about daily quests is just not turning them into chores that add a huge amount of pressure to you. So the method that I use is that any of the quests that have the two colors involved in them, so it's like play X cards of red and green or play X cards of blue and black. Any of those quests are the ones that I heavily prefer to have. So I generally do re-roll, 500 gold quests to try to get 750. But if I have a 500 gold quest that says play red and green cards, and I also have a 750 quest that says play red and green cards, I might not re-roll that just because you get to double dip, and that's so nice from a time investment perspective. And I might not even re-roll it if I have a 750 quest that says blue and black cards, and I have a 500 quest that says blue and green cards, just because I get to double dip with the blue. So I would say that the math on that, and I don't have that right in front of me, but I know that they've done the math on that, and it's not a huge difference between whether, you're worried about never completing 500 gold quests and just always trying to reroll for 750. It's not a huge difference. It's something that's generally good to do, but it's not something you need to be super stressed about, that you're losing a lot of value.
That's a good point. I didn't even ever think, oh, look, it's a double dip situation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm admitting that to all of you, and I am quite embarrassed.
So like I said, my biggest strategy is just to say okay, how do I not have to be stressed out about completing these quests? Because it is true that to use this method that I'm laying out, completing all of your daily quests and trying to get at least a couple wins a day is pretty important to building up that bankroll, so that when you do go and play your draft events, you're not worried about if I lose this one, then I won't be able to draft again for a week, or things like that. Because if you don't get to a certain kind of status quo of how much gold and how much gems that you have in your account, then it's pretty easy to have that situation arise where you just won't be able to play draft for a couple days or even a week. So daily quests are really important. And the cool thing about those double color ones is that if you play gold cards that fit both of those colors, so again, in the example of a red and green cards, if you have red, green, Gruul gold cards, for each card you play, it actually counts for 2 cards. So if you play one red-green card, it fulfills two of those quest requirements. So if it's a 15 card quest, then you only have to play 7.5 of those gold cards to get there. And I have decks that are just called Red Green Quest, and it's just full of all of the relatively cheap red green cards that I have.
Great.
And then I don't have to think so much about like, oh man, I'm so stressed out about how long this is going to take. It's a little bit more like I just play the cards out, and like I know that, over the course of 10 to 15 minutes, I can probably complete that quest pretty easily. And
wow.
the one and a sort of like added benefit, and again, this depends on the kind of person you are, but I'm someone who really enjoys winning in kind of strange or odd ways. And these quest decks I have,
I would say this whole thing is about winning in a strange or odd way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that's fair. But these quest decks I have are not the most like cohesive, synergistic decks in the world. So one thing that's fun is you're going to lose a lot of the games you play with these. The point is not to necessarily win. It's maybe just to complete a quest. But you might see yourself in a situation where you're like, oh, actually, I see how I could maybe win through this and this and this. And then it's really, really fun when you win against some deck that's like has some elaborate combo or some deck that's way more mainstream, and you win with this pile of cards that, that don't make any sense. Like, it's actually very satisfying.
Yeah,
so
with your quest pile.
With your quest
Absolutely.
pile. Exactly.
Right.
And then the strategy for getting daily wins for me is that I like to have a deck that is really about like kind of having a nut straw. So like just one that it maybe isn't the most consistent thing in the world, but if it draws these specific cards, it's likely to win really quickly. Because again, that's a situation where you can just mulligan to those types of hands. And if you don't get one, you just concede. It's not that big of a deal. You've given someone a free win. You've, put that energy out into the world.
That's what's happening when people just snap concede.
It very well might
Wow.
be. But then if you do draw that hand, then it's not an absolute guarantee, but there's a pretty high percentage chance that you're going to win that game. So you don't have to invest a lot of time in, games that you might not win. Again, this isn't a strategy for how do I, get better at Magic. This isn't a strategy for, it just isn't. Like, this is about, I don't want to, it's not how I always engage with the game, because a lot of times if you're just doing drafts or, like in different times, depending on how long the set's been out, you'll just get those wins through that type of activity that I have a lot of just natural fun doing. But if it gets to a place where I'm just like, okay, I didn't have time today, I just want to get 1 or 2 wins, I can go to that strategy and not be stressed out about it and not have it feel like a huge chore. And one bonus, I think, for listeners of this show is I know that that there are 2 decks, one of which are favorites of each of yours that are really good for this strategy. Azorius Auras, that Maria really loves, is really great.
I was gonna say
for this because obviously if you have your specific cards in hand at the beginning of the game, that can be a really great deck to win pretty quickly. And Neostorm is another great deck for this strategy because you just have a 2-card combo.
Yeah.
If you assemble that, you're probably going to win the game. So I think Neostorm is a slightly better deck for this, but the only downside of it is it's a much more expensive deck to craft in terms of wild cards. So Azorius Auras is like a great starter deck if you're looking to get into that strategy. And you can even, you don't necessarily have to have all the cards for it. You can start out with like Core Spirit Dancer is the most important, like rare to craft. Mm-hmm. You can really just have Core Spirit Dancer and a bunch of commons and uncommons, and you can just mulligan to get to that Core Spirit Dancer and try to win the game that way. So that's an easy way to build this type of deck without investing a lot of wild cards in it.
Yeah, and then we get to draw a line in the sand. Who are you? Are you a Meghan or a Maria?
I will also say Neostorm is the one that I will pick up if I have a blue-green spell.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Spell quest, because if you copy Neostorm, you do it 15 times.
That is a very good point.
You're just like, it does, like, your opponent has to not concede immediately once you start going off. But, like, if they don't, you're just like, well, I cast a blue-green spell 12 times.
That's
amazing.
That's a great point.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, do you want to talk next about, if you're working on building your collection, what you want to craft?
Yeah, this is this isn't something that I'll go as in depth on, but I think in a general sense, and this is probably somewhat common knowledge, but in case it's not, the rare lands are definitely some of the safest things to craft in any kind of whether it's in standard or whether it's in historic. Those rare lands, they're so useful for so many different decks and they're so likely to stay relevant regardless of whether, let's say, as has been the case over the last year, some number of cards get banned, like you're still pretty likely to get to use those rare lands in some decks, even if they look completely different than the deck that you were using them in to begin with. So I would say that's the first thing that I would look to craft. So if you're worried about, should I craft this for this deck? Rare lands are a great place to start for, things that you don't have to feel super bad about crafting, even if the deck, isn't good or doesn't, something gets banned out of it, like those things that people worry about. And then the other thing that I'll say about crafting is that if you go with the natural rhythm that I've kind of laid out, where you're spending the first part of any set drafting, and then once you accumulate enough cards, enough packs and enough rares to open your packs and take advantage of that duplicate protection, you probably have a better idea of what things are actually going to stick around as far as meta decks, as far as things that just aren't going to be invalidated because they were the flavor of the week, or they seemed like they might be good, but some other deck arose that invalidated it in some way. So there is kind of a natural built-in advantage to waiting that you will naturally get to take advantage of because of the fact that you are drafting for the first part of the set and therefore aren't perhaps as worried about what to craft. So those are the two pieces of advice that I would give, is that, lands are always a safe craft. And then if you follow the general advice of this idea of building a collection, you just get to take advantage of the fact that other people will have figured out.
You won't be me crafting Garuda Doom of Depths for the 1 week that it was good in standard.
Right.
And then you regret everything.
And I mean, that, again, it depends on the kind of player you are. And if that's the kind of player you want to be, like, there's so much fun to be had in that. It's just not the most efficient way to spend resources in the game.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. This has been absolutely fantastic, Tyler.
Yeah.
All of this information,
thank you so much,
has been so wonderful for you.
My mind is in pieces. It's exploded.
Yours is exploded. Mine's grinched, grown 3 sizes this day.
Yeah.
You had just some closing thoughts that you wanted to say about hey, doing this, when should you do this, when should you not do this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm a big believer in, remembering that this is a game, and, everything we've just talked about kind of as we've mentioned several times, there's a lot of math involved, and it sort of feels like you're breaking it down into this, just a bunch of little cogs that you're putting together to build this machine. And there can be value and fun to be had in that if that's the kind of person that you are, or that's the kind of, that's the way you like to engage with your content. That having been said, I just think it's important to remember that, the game is about having fun. It's about, really enjoying or getting some relaxation or fulfillment out of playing the game. And if this method doesn't feel like it's doing that for you, it probably just isn't the right way to go. It's something that you should just constantly be checking in with yourself about, not letting this become some kind of second or third or fourth job that you have that you're just trying to all right, gotta check in now and work in the MTG Arena client and punch the clock.
Gotta mine those gems.
Exactly, literally, gotta mine those gems. It's okay for that to be the case every once in a while, but I just think if that becomes the way that you're thinking about the game, then just find another method. And as I said earlier, it's also worth mentioning that it just isn't necessarily about building a full collection if that's not what you're interested in, or if you just don't have the time to invest into that. This can be a good method for just getting, a certain number of rares that you can play around with in any given set. It's still, as I said, almost always going to have a better return on investment than just buying packs. So if you're at all interested in draft, if you're at all interested in that side of the game, that format, then it's something that I think is worthwhile. If you just absolutely hate draft and couldn't detest it anymore, which honestly, I don't know what to say to you if that's the case, because I don't understand it. But
fair enough. Yeah.
But if that's true,
us either. What are you doing here?
I mean, draft is life, man.
I've couldn't agree more. But if that's not the case for you, then again, this may not be the method for you. You know, like I just think it's important to say that even if this is the most efficient way to get a collection or the most efficient way to get, you know, best return on investment for your resources, that may not be the best way for you to engage in the game. So I think that was just what I wanted to say for a final thought is, you know, have fun playing the game.
For sure.
I mean, that's Good Luck High Five's mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a fun time playing Magic, being in the community, being part of the game however you want. You know, like that's, if there's one takeaway from our 8 years of podcasting, like, I hope that's
you better be freaking having fun.
Or else we're watching you
That's right.
through the radio. Anyway.
Well, no, through these, I mean, you have hooks into these, you know, into these trackers that we've been telling people to download.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, for sure. I'm absolutely going to do that. First thing I start Arena again, get a tracker going.
That's pretty cool.
And maybe we can update people, like, you know, in a few months or whatever, how our win rates are doing.
Yeah.
Or like in shame, never mention it again.
Exactly. If you never hear us mention our draft win rates, you'll know what happened.
Thank you so much once again, Tyler, for coming on. If people want to find you on the internet to hear more of your, you know, amazing tips on playing Magic, where can they find you?
I am at Ty D Mills, TYDMILLS on Twitter. I don't usually tweet, but maybe, you know, if I get some undisclosed number of followers.
Oh yeah, how about 18 followers?
18 followers.
If you get 18 more followers, you'll tweet.
I'll tweet at least once. That's a promise. That's
perfect.
That's a Tyler promise.
That is definitely the kind of Twitter account I want to follow.
Yes.
Maybe I'll tweet one time. Great. Sign me up.
Sign me up, man.
Boom. Right
I'm
there.
into it.
Thank you so much, Tyler. This was awesome.
Thank you both for having me. I couldn't have had a better time.
It's time to thank another one of our sponsors of Good Luck High Five, Ultra Pro. They are amazing.
Right. If you are looking at this call time art and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
You're making the sound that you make when you try and draw cards, but
Narset's in play. Wow. Rip.
Whoa, whoa,
me.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
that makes
whoa.
me so sad.
I know.
Anytime that a static ability prevents something from happening and Arena gives you the whoa, 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 I'm very sad.
You feel terrible.
Anyways, do you know what does not make you feel sad?
Ultra Pro.
Everything from Ultra Pro. And if you want to celebrate that sick call time
So
art,
good. So
there
good.
is no better way than to get play mats and deck boxes and everything else that you need to play the game with that awesome art on it.
Yeah, I follow Ultra Pro on Twitter, and they're tweeting out all the new stuff that they've got with the art on it all the time.
Yes.
And it's just wonderful to be able to see this new art being used in such a great way.
Yeah.
As you know, I love Magic paraphernalia, and so I'm looking forward to seeing all of the stuff that Ultra Pro puts out from Call Time because this art is exceptional in this set.
It is so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, check it out at your friendly local game store or over on cardkingdom.com/GLHF because they've got it all.
Well, everybody, that's our show.
Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. And thank you once again to our guest, Tyler, for giving us incredible insight in how to spend less money playing Arena.
It was so cool. I learned so much.
Yes, so did I.
Which boggles my mind because I am someone who plays Arena, especially during this pandemic, literally every day.
I know, right? And it's like, I could be making these subtle adjustments to like just make sure that I spend less money overall.
And it's amazing, right? Because again, I feel since the pandemic, my morning routine is instead of getting up and getting ready to come into the office or go somewhere because now we only are here on Mondays when we record.
Yep.
Instead, I get up and I play a little bit of Arena
while I sit in front of
my sun lamp to start the day.
It's excellent.
And now I'm just like, how did I not know these things? I could have been making such better use of that time instead of just throwing golden gems at things, which is what I do all the time.
Honestly, so do I. I'm one of the players. You know me if you're a fan of the show, much like Tyler isn't, that we learned earlier. Just kidding.
If you ever want to come on the show and just get roasted by Maria.
I will roast you for free. No, I'm very impatient. I'm impulsive, and I will be like, oh, I want to play this. I want to buy this. Boom, boom, boom. I'll always do it. But his thing about saving your packs until later to get more rares and wildcards and have a better collection is so smart.
It's so cool.
Like, if you don't need them immediately and you don't need the instant gratification of opening your pack, there's no reason not to do it.
It's so cool.
So maybe I will try to be a better, steward of my
your own account.
My own account, and try and save my packs and open them later, because I do have a pretty good stack of wild cards right now. Nice. So I don't need to do it for call time.
Yeah. Do you know what's wild is I have way more mythic wild cards than rares right now.
Oh, like how much? Oh, that's.
I think it's slightly less now because I just crafted a couple of mythics that I needed.
Yeah.
But it was literally 16 to 4 or something like
well,
that.
I guess you generally right now rares are more the thing that you need than mythics.
Which I want to say Caroline who's been on the show before.
Yeah.
Was telling me that apparently a lot of people were actually having the opposite problem because of those mythic lands, like Shatter Skull Smashing, Turn Timber Symbiosis, and stuff like that. But anyways,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next week, Judge Rob will be here to walk us through Call Time. Yeah. And of course, we'll post our most beloved video, which is top 10 worst rares for your sealed deck.
Yep.
For pre-release coming out next
weekend.
Week. You got to know what not to play.
You gotta know. You gotta know what to make a sad face about when you open it.
Yep, absolutely. That's the most important thing. Make that sad face. We can all feel it. We feel your pain.
What a great time of year with an upcoming set.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited.
And thank you once again to everyone who makes it possible.
Absolutely.
Everyone over at Card Kingdom, who's such a wonderful sponsor of the show. Same with Ultra Pro. Incredible set of people who are always doing cool stuff for the community. And of course, to every single one of you in our Patreon community.
Yeah, thank you so much. Head on over to patreon.com/GLHF Magic if you would like to become a new patron and get your name read out by Meghan on our show live on the air all the time. Yeah, and you can check out our website, goodluckihigh5.com, for all of our stuff. In case you want to know where we are at any given moment, we have a live tracker of our position in our houses. And
that would be so creepy.
Maria's been in the bathroom for 10 minutes. Is she okay? You can check in.
Weird. I don't even let maps be on. When apps are like, can we track your location? My answer is always never. And then I try and use maps and it's like, maps is like, you have to tell me where you are. And I'm like, fine, just this once.
Are you in space? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, I can't start talking about space because I won't stop. Anyway, thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Judge Rob next week.
See you there.